Howdy quad folks, welcome back to day 3 or day 4 of the TR-4 tear down and rebuild. Today what I'm going to try to do is take the module frame out of the record side of the cabinet. There's some rust here that I want to get to, and there's also some more rust on down in there which we can't see yet, but we will be able to when I get this out. And what this basically is there's 3 rows of modules, so you have 3 rows of sockets. The sockets are mounted to the back of the module frame with 4 Phillips screws, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. And the frame is connected to the cabinet by this little piece here. So there's 1 screw there, and 1 there, and then 1 at the top here. So basically what I'm going to do is take the screws out of these connector frames, which will allow us to pull the module frame out the front and leave all that cabinet exposed so we can get to the rusty parts and sand it and prime it and paint it and get control of some of this rust. Okay, here we go. Now to get to the top of the second row, we're going to have to go into the wire duct here and go fishing through the wires. And that's no problem. Now here's the placement so we can look right here. And we can move a few wires out of the way. That was loose. And we'll just leave that screw in there. There's so many wires it's not going to fall out, and it'll be right in position when this goes back. We can just line it up, put our screwdriver right back on it, and tighten it back down. Now, working from the front side, to remove our module frame, we'll take all these screws out here and all these screws out. And this whole frame assembly should just pull out the front, since we now have the connectors unscrewed from the back. Okay, we're down to the last 2 screws. Okay, there's our module frame out of the machine. Oh, looky there. There's a greeny screwdriver laying down in. Probably fell in there many years ago. Wow. Now, here's why I wanted to do that. Because of that. And because of that. And what that is that's rust caused by the glue on the sound deadener material that was glued in to the bottom compartment here. This machine had been well, originally it was, you know, a ball bearing head, and sometime later on it was an air bearing kit was installed as upgraded, you know, for air bearing video heads, and sound deadener panels were installed, you know, because this is where the compressor was installed. So there was sound deadening material glued to the sides of the cabinet in this compartment. you know, to deaden the sound of the air compressor running. And that stuff, that foam-backed, glued-on sound deadening material is just notorious for rusting metal. There's some kind of chemical in it that metal does not like at all. It likes to rust. So I want to get this now, tip the machine over on a furniture dolly where I can get to this bottom compartment easily with a sander and sand that rust down and prime it and paint it on both sides. And that will stabilize that, you know, clean it up, and it won't ever get any worse than it is now. And it's bad enough. Well, here's the little washer and the nut for the switch here. I was wondering where that was, and it had fallen down in between those module frames. And you know, that's about 60 years worth of dust accumulation that's piled up in these lower regions of this machine. And as far as the module frame itself, it's in pretty good condition. It just needs a little bit of Scotch-Brite, and it looks like some kind of a that's going to come off. That's not in the metal, it's just something on it. But maybe just a little Scotch-Brite to brighten everything up and to take some of that, you know, where the old dust is just caked on over time, and get it back down to shiny metal again. Well, it's amazing what you find in an old machine sometime. There's somebody's alligator clip from years ago, probably. It looks like the end of a BNC connector is falling down in between the things. It needs a good bath and a coat of paint. Now that little switch is back the way it should be once again. I don't know how in the world that thing would have fell down behind there. You know, because you have a speaker here, unless somebody just dropped it down the crack there. Who knows? Well, here we are back around to the back of the machine again, and now you see with the module frame out of the way, we can then take the wiring harness and just tie it out of the way temporarily. And we got a lot of room to work here now to get in there and sand and paint and eliminate, or at least control that rust. You know, get control of that and sand it down and prime it and paint it. And now, one other thing that I need to do here is, you is I'm going to remove this panel here because I want to do something a little different here in the bottom. The bottom front has a muffin fan mounted in it that blows in up through the modules. A 4 does not have an air pass through. That's a solid wall there, and so there is no air pass through from, you know, the big cabinet to the little cabinet. The only air cooling you have over in the record cabinet on a 4 is that little muffin fan in the front. And I never have thought that was enough. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this old panel off and probably just make a new panel and put a 5-inch muffin fan in the back as well as the front, so we'll have 2 fans supplying air front and back for the module cooling over here in the record cabinet. And that seems to make a lot of sense, you know, to change this and add another fan to get a little more cooling over here for these modules. Looking a little closer at the module frame, right there. I don't know how well the camera picks that up. Oh, hello, bumblebee. Right there. That is a rusty divider. This one right here, which was be under the compressor's air tank, which would sit right on top of this. Now that divider needs to be replaced. And well, I don't know, we may, yeah, that one may clean up, but this one here definitely needs to be taken out and replaced. Yeah, I think that's the only one I see, is that one. You know, you don't really want to slide a module in to a rusty divider, you know, because that'll start your module frame to rusting, you know, your circuit module frame. So yeah, we need to replace that one divider with a good one and get rid of that rust. Now that's what having a insufficiently filtered air supply will do for you. Is you know, you get water in the lines and you don't have any traps, or if you don't have good enough traps in your line, you know, the water vapor will eventually find a way out, and it'll drip down on stuff, and usually the stuff it drips on is metal. Now we'll go out to the little quad house in the backyard and see if I have a spare module divider to replace that rusty divider with. After my last video posting, I I showed that little house and several people asked me what kind of quads are in there. Well, you'd be surprised. So we'll just take a little walk back here and you can have a look for yourself at the junk. Oh, looks like a little bird's dropped its egg. Oh. I think I see right there what we were looking for. Now that's a short one. We need a long one. Okay, that looks like long ones. Oh yeah. That'll work. Well, basically this is just my little quad house in the backyard, and it's just parts and pieces I've collected over the years. You know, various things. Bits of machines that I've taken apart. Well, that's a whole machine there. A machine frame, that is. It's just various pieces and pieces and pieces. That's IVC 9000 stuff there. It's a little more 9000 stuff. VTR-1 power supplies, there's a bunch of them sitting around. That looks like VR stuff there. 1200, 2000, 1100. That's IVC 9000. That's the glass doors. That's some more 9000 air system. That looks like AVR3 stuff there, some of it. Now here's the other thing that I came after. This is a I guess a large or wide furniture dolly. I'm going to lay that TR-4 cabinet down flat on this little furniture dolly so I can get to the bottom more easily and sand and prime and paint, get rid of that rust. And at this point, there's been so much taken off of it, it doesn't weigh that much. That's just VR 1200 and 2000 intersinks stacked to the ceiling. And that looks like Amtech, ColorTech. There's a Proc amp. So they're stacked halfway to the ceiling. Now, there's not guitars in those boxes, but I saved them over the years, and those are wiring harnesses, complete wiring harnesses for IVC 9000, VR 2000, 2000B, and 1200. There's a couple more boxes behind those boxes. That's an IVC 9000. The motor control power supply for the motor controllers. That's the big one, and it's in the back down low, down below the compressor and the air pump for the vacuum columns. That's a power inverter for the cooling fan on an IVC 9000, which it's basically a step up, step down transformer in a box. Oh well. So now you've seen the junk pile, or a little bit of it. Oh yeah, we can live with that. It's good to have spare parts.